A Swedish woman visits an American friend's home for the first time. Within 5 minutes, she has noticed 3 things. The shoes are still on inside the house. Every overhead light in every room is blazing at full brightness at 9 in the evening, and the television in the living room is running in a room where nobody is actually sitting. She doesn't say anything. She is a guest and she is not there to teach anyone anything. But she is also quietly filing these observations away, because in her own home, not one of those 3 things would be happening, and she is actually trying to work out what she is looking at. What specific American home habits that stop a Scandinavian in their tracks, and what each one looks like from the other side. Before we continue, if you'd consider subscribing, it only takes a few seconds and helps the channel out a lot. Now back to the video. So let's start with the observation our Swedish visitor made first, the one that lands before she has even taken off her coat. Keeping shoes on indoors. This was covered in an earlier video on this channel from a hygiene perspective, specifically the University of Arizona study finding that 96% of shoe soles test positive for coliform bacteria. But the Nordic relationship with the shoes-off rule goes deeper than bacteria, and the home context is where it becomes most clearly a design philosophy rather than simply a cleanliness preference. Nordic homes are physically designed around a distinct entry zone, a hallway or mudroom where the outdoor world is left behind and the indoor world begins. The shoes come off not because someone decided to be fastidious, but because the architecture of the home expects it, with shoe racks, hooks for coats, and a flooring transition that signals the shift from outside to inside. An American home typically has no such zone. The front door opens directly into living space, which means the indoor-outdoor boundary that Nordic homes build in physically has no equivalent infrastructure to support it. And the shoes stay on, not because Americans chose to track the street inside, but because the house never gave them anywhere to transition out of it. Moving to the second thing, and this is the observation our Swedish visitor made within seconds of the first. Every overhead light in the house blazing at full brightness all evening. Nordic lighting culture is one of the most consistently remarked upon differences Scandinavians notice in American homes, and the reason goes well beyond aesthetics. Nordic homes after dark use lamps, candles, and directional warm-toned light rather than overhead fixtures, and the reasoning connects directly to the biology covered in the sleep videos on this channel. Bright, blue-spectrum overhead lighting in the evening sends the brain a signal that the day is not over, suppressing melatonin production and delaying the natural wind-down that the body needs before sleep. Nordic homes manage their evening light to cooperate with the body's signals rather than override them. What strikes a Scandinavian visitor about a brightly lit American home at 9 in the evening is not the brightness itself, but the specific sensation it produces, of being in a space that is still in full daytime mode when the outside world has been dark for hours. For the third thing, and this is the one our visitor noticed last, but found most difficult to explain afterward, the television running in a room where nobody is watching it. Americans watch an average of over 4 hours of television per day according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data. But the specific habit that confuses Nordic visitors is not the total viewing time, but the ambient viewing. The television running as background rather than as a chosen activity. A Nordic home tends toward quiet as its default state. Music might play during cooking. A specific program might be deliberately watched. But the television as a continuous presence in the room, filling silence that otherwise would simply be silence, is a pattern that reads in a Nordic context as a home that is slightly uncomfortable with its own quiet. The question a Scandinavian visitor is implicitly asking, without asking it, is, what are you drowning out? The fourth thing is the architectural point that explains the first one. No dedicated transition space between outdoors and indoors. The mudroom or entry hall is so standard in Nordic home design that its absence is architecturally startling. This is the space where the outdoor world is processed before entering the home. Coats hung, shoes removed, bags set down, wet things dried. It is a physical buffer between the street and the living space, and its absence in most American homes means the home has no designed way to perform the transition that Nordic homes handle automatically. The American solution to this, a coat closet by the door or a hook rack in the entryway, is a retrofit rather than a designed system, and it produces a different relationship with the indoor-outdoor boundary, not because of cultural preference, but because the architecture was never built around the same premise. Quick stop here. I want to mention something because this video is really about what a home environment does to the people living inside it. And the Scandinavian reset covers exactly that with a room-by-room guide and worksheets. Check it out in the pinned comment or directly at www.scandinaviansecrets.shop. Now back to the video. For the fifth thing, and this is a specific detail that surprises Scandinavian visitors because it seems both practical and puzzling at the same time. Carpet in the bathroom and kitchen. Soft floor coverings in the two rooms most consistently exposed to water, food residue, and foot traffic from people who have not removed their outdoor shoes. Read in a Nordic home context as an unusual choice for exactly the reasons it sounds like when stated plainly. Nordic bathrooms and kitchens use hard, cleanable surfaces specifically because those rooms get wet, greasy, and heavily trafficked. And a surface that absorbs rather than resists that traffic creates a maintenance challenge that Nordic domestic culture tends to engineer away rather than manage. The American bathroom carpet exists partly because American homes are designed around shoes staying on, which means the bathroom floor needs to be comfortable underfoot rather than simply cleanable. And once the shoe indoors premise is in place, the carpet follows logically from it. The sixth thing is the home-specific version of a point made in the hygiene video on this channel, but worth distinguishing here because it is about the home environment rather than the person. Air fresheners and synthetic scents as the primary approach to home smell management. A Nordic home that smells strongly of a manufactured scent is not considered a clean home. It is considered a home that smells of a product, which raises a specific question about what the product is covering. The Nordic standard for a clean home is the absence of smell rather than the replacement of natural smell with artificial smell, and the specific products, plug-in air fresheners, scented candles burned not for atmosphere, but for odor management, heavily fragranced cleaning products, all of which are common in American homes, register in a Nordic context as solutions to a problem that a Nordic home typically addresses at the source, rather than at the symptom. For the seventh thing, and this one connects to the consumer psychology covered in the Never Buy and Money Behavior videos on this channel, but applies specifically to how the kitchen and pantry are managed. Keeping enough food in the house for a medium-length emergency. American supermarket culture, with its bulk buy incentives, its warehouse stores, its family-size packaging designed around multiple purchases at once, produces a specific home pantry dynamic where the refrigerator and cupboards are stocked well beyond what the household will eat before the next shop. A Nordic household tends to buy for the week ahead rather than the month ahead, partly because Nordic grocery stores are designed for frequent small purchases rather than occasional large ones, and partly because the relationship with food covered in the Food Habits video on this channel defaults toward fresh and current rather than preserved and abundant. A Scandinavian visitor opening an American refrigerator is not judging the abundance. They are really trying to calculate how long it would take a family to eat that much before any of it expired. And for the eighth and final thing, the one that connects everything else on this list into a single observation: the baseline visual noise level of the average American home. Clutter is not uniquely American, and plenty of Nordic homes accumulate objects over time, in the same way any home does. But the specific default baseline of a Nordic home, what it looks like on an ordinary Tuesday when nobody is expecting guests, tends toward less visual noise than the American equivalent at the same income level. And the specific reason for this connects to the consumer behavior covered across multiple videos on this channel. A household that buys what it needs rather than what is available, that resists the accumulation of objects without a clear continuing purpose, and that evaluates purchases against whether they earn their space over time, produces a home that contains less surplus. The Swedish visitor in the home that opened this video is not conscious of performing a design evaluation. She is simply noticing that the visual field of the room is denser than she is used to. In the same quiet, observational way, she noticed the shoes and the lights, filing it away alongside everything else without saying a word. 8 things, and the same honest conclusion that closes every video in this comparison series. None of these American patterns are irrational inside the environment that produced them. The shoes stay on because the house was built without an entry zone. The lights are bright because the wiring put overhead fixtures in every room. The refrigerator is full because the supermarket rewarded buying more. The clutter accumulates because the consumer environment made accumulation easy and removal difficult. The Nordic alternatives make sense inside Nordic infrastructure. What is worth taking from the comparison is not a verdict on which home is better, but rather the underlying question each Nordic habit is answering. What is this space for? What does it do to the people living inside it? Those questions travel anywhere. All the sources and data referenced in this video are listed in the description below. If this changed how you think about your own home, following the channel means a lot. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Och som alltid, vi ses nästa gång.